I'm Sarah, and of course there's a number of ways I can introduce myself, and I'm glad to have a chance to introduce ourselves this morning. The simplest is probably that I am one of 10 co-owners of Seven Shores Cafe in Uptown Waterloo, and my husband Bryant and I were invited to share a little bit more about that in the second hour. What it looks like to have 10 people own a cafe, what it looks like to try and do stuff in community. And when the invitation came to talk in the second hour, I mentioned that I also like to preach. I spent much of my career in pastoral ministry. And the truth is, I don't like to preach, I love to preach. I love a microphone, I love a stage. It's true. But actually my work over the last number of decades, even in the different places that I've worked, has always been about storytelling, about taking complex and complicated things and trying to make them a little bit more manageable, a little bit more nuanced, even a little bit more whole. So I am truly delighted to be here with you this morning, and thank you for spending your morning with me. And I understand that throughout Lent, every Sunday morning there's been a song attached to the message. And I know you haven't heard a song yet this morning, that's on me. I'm going to do it a little bit later, but first I want to give you a little bit of context. Because when I thought about songs, when I thought about music, there's no shortage of options of things to talk about. But what makes sense, is it a hymn? Is it a choral song? Is it a song from the radio? And I figured if I was going to talk about music, it should be, you would think, connected to the expression of faith in the world and not just like a song Sarah likes to talk about. By the way, this all goes better if you laugh at my jokes. Right. But actually, primarily, I started to think about why communities sing. Why do we sing together on Sunday mornings? What's the function of music? What has the function been? What has it well been before we put ledger lines on a page and added note names and a bunch of rules and ways that it had to be? Music has long predated that. It has always been at the heartbeat, the center, the storyteller of cultures, of communities. It's been a way to put both celebration and strife into a shared experience. I believe that communal music, singing together, is lightning in a bottle. You will never sing the songs that you sang this morning again the way that they were sung. You will never bring the exact same set of circumstances, the exact same scenario to the time that you're singing. Even if all of us came next week and sat in these same spots and sang those same songs, it would be different. It's true of theater or choral music. Even professionals who are performing the same shows 8 times a week with incredible discipline will never deliver it to the same audience with the same weather, with the text they received or the thing they're going to after the show. Live music, shared communal music, is a momentary exchange, and yet it's shaping. It's a formative expression that helps us co-regulate our nervous systems with one another, that creates something we cannot do on our own. I cannot sing 4-part harmony by myself. I cannot live your life and bring your voice, but I can join my voice with yours. So it's no wonder that experiencing communal music can move our inner being. It's no wonder that we turn to it in times of struggle. Because when you are at the end of yourself, when you can't see a way forward, there's something so profound and powerful about joining your voice to somebody else's to extend past the end of ourselves. And if music can carry both joy and struggle, it makes sense that one of the most honest forms of communal music is lament. So I'm going to read a lament to you this morning. Where has the starlight gone? Dark is the day. How can I find my way home? Home is an empty dream lost to the night. Father, I feel so alone. You promised you'd be there whenever I needed you. Whenever I call your name, you're not anywhere. I'm trying to hold on, just waiting to hear your voice. One word, just a word will do to end this nightmare. When will the dawning break? Oh, endless night. Sleepless, I dream of the day when you were on my side, guiding my path. Father, I can't find the way. I know that the night must end and that the sun will rise. I know that the clouds must clear and that the sun will shine, and I'll hear your voice deep inside. Does anyone recognize this lament? Sounds like something that comes from the book of Psalms. Or is it Simba? This is the song Endless Night from The Lion King, the musical. Gotcha. You have to really read it like it doesn't rhyme. But this particular song, this takes place in the musical when Nala has come. Do you know the story? Nala's come to find Simba, and she's like, you have to come back. Scar's ruined everything. And Simba's like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know who I am. And then in the movie, he goes and he finds James Earl Jones in the stars. But in the musical, he goes and he sings this song. So we will listen to this song at the end of the message. But needless to say, this is a moment where Simba is searching. And what strikes me most about this is not the music of this particular song, it's the poetic structure of it. Because laments are helpful tools. They are a way of expressing frustration, disappointment in the face of injustice, cruelty, mounting horrors, a disbelief in the actions of those around us. It's a real need in our lives. In the book of Psalms, about 1/3 of the Psalms themselves are laments. And we talk about the book of Psalms. It's actually a book of songs, would be the word. And it's a series of Hebrew poems that capture this huge range of emotions, from celebrations of the law to psalms of thanksgiving. We have psalms of repentance and lament. And lament is that deep grief, that sorrow, that pain put out loud. There's no shortage of reasons we might have, personally or communally, to express deep sorrow, grief, or pain. There was no shortage of reasons for the people of the Bible, for the people who are experiencing these psalms for the first time either. And we often camp on this part of lament, on the complaint, on the concern, of the possibility of saying something that justly is rising up inside of us, whether it's for ourselves or the community, for the environment, for the marginalized, the missed, the forgotten, for injustice. We like to pay attention, and it sounds like there's a but coming in my sentence. And there's not a but here. I do want to say, things are bad. But in Psalms, we see other things happening as well. There's a unique quality to the Psalms, and it's that second half. It's that statement of confidence. Biblical laments follow Hebrew poetry. Hebrew poetry functions in stanzas, like two-part stanzas, where one line says something and the next line either kind of ratchets it up or ratchets it down, but they work together as pairs. There's a line in the book of Job where he says, I wish I had never been born. I wish I had never been conceived. It's one thing to say, okay, I don't want to be born. It's a whole, we've gone deeper, farther, worse, back. And the Psalms do this. Hebrew poetry does this. But there's also another duality here of this complaint or concern and confidence, which is what we heard in Psalm 13 this morning, that says, to the leader, a psalm of David, how long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I bear pain in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all day long? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and answer me, O Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep the sleep of death. My enemies will say, I have prevailed. My foes will rejoice because I am shaken. But I trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. So we have that big complaint. He's like, they're going to say they won, and then they're going to have a party about it. Again, we see that dual ratcheting in the Psalms. And then all of a sudden it switches to, but I trust you, and my heart will rejoice, and I will sing because you have been generous. This pattern is true of all biblical laments of having a complaint and confidence, except for one, which is Psalm 88, which, if you want to read it, is some angsty business going on in there. And there's actually only one statement of confidence that doesn't have a lament with it, which is the very well-known Psalm 23. And so you have this, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and it sits kind of on its own as a form of a psalm. And some People suggest, not me, I'm not in the business of rewriting what's not mine to rewrite, but that those should be put together. Who knows? And I know that you've paid attention to laments because Tom and I tried to preach on the same text twice this week, and I know that he unpacked Psalm 22 for you, showing some of that movement between the complaint and the confidence. And we see the same pattern in Simba's song. Where has the twilight gone, O endless night? But I know that the night will end. I know that the sun will rise. I know the clouds will clear. And I always fear that it's easy when we read this to hear that we can't just let things be bad, that we can't let things be hard, that we have to sort of neutralize or add a platitude to the end of something truly painful. But I'd like us to be more careful with our statement of confidence than that. So the opening of the psalm said, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face? How long must I bear the pain? How much sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemies be exalted over me? And it ends with, but I'm going to trust in your steadfast love. My heart will rejoice in your salvation. I'll sing to the Lord because he's dealt bountifully with me. It's easy to think that when we hear a statement of concern and then we hear a statement of confidence, we're thinking of a question and an answer to it. But I don't know that that's the most helpful way to think about it. I think instead of an answer to the complaint, we want to think about the act of confidence, the act of making that claim. The statement of confidence isn't saying you're going to get an answer to what's going on. In fact, that statement of confidence in the psalm does not speak to the enemies prevailing, it just speaks to who God is. A statement of confidence is a reminder, it's a discipline, it's remembering over and over that there's more than what we can see right now. It's a reminder that's rooted in greater possibility, greater redemption, greater hope than our people, our singleness can even fathom. That statement isn't, I know you're going to answer my exact request. It isn't for Simba, and I know you'll get rid of Scar for me. It's, I know your steadfast love. I know the sun will rise. I know that more is possible. And I believe that's why we don't sing alone, because it's an act of remembering who God is, of joining our voices to one another, of illustrating faith, even when God is silent or absent. The psalm says, but I will keep on singing. We don't keep singing because we're going to get the answer we want, not because it's going to fix anything, but because these laments are a communal way of remembering more than that. Because when we think about singing together, we often think about buildings with solid walls and insulation, hedging from the outside world, closed roofs. But long before the cathedrals were built, life happened communally. People practiced their faith without all the safety of insulation. A professor of mine, back when I studied theology many years ago, talked about the Psalms as heard and overheard, much like the singers in Minneapolis in the face of ice raids. And there's an event this afternoon, a Singing in Solidarity at Trillium Lutheran, a chance to join voices to one another. We read these Psalms, you might read them by yourself, I can read it out loud to you, but these are actually out loud communal expressions of faith. They're supposed to be spoken and said. They were recited by the community consistently. In times of death, while sitting Shiva, rabbis would recite the Psalms. They're spoken out loud in the hearing. These are songs sung together, including the ones of lament, the ones that insist on God, even when God felt silent, even when God feels absent, the song continues. It's saying, I know things are tough, and I will keep on singing. I will join my voice to others. I will continue to imagine more, to continue to imagine that I can trust in the people around me to help do the work, to join the song, even when we can't hear the voice. I believe that that is a powerful story in this world, a story that doesn't deny the struggle, but offers possibility, one that shows faith, a practice of remembering, even when it's easy to forget. Sometimes you'll carry the song, and sometimes the song will carry you. But we keep singing, not because everything is fixed, but because we don't carry it alone. Thank you.